Welcome back to part 4 of the IKORIA spoilers review and tier list series that again I'll be doing for all future sets coming out. Now just two things before we get on with the video. I didn't do a spoiler like a couple of days ago when they only announced one card from IKORIA. They just ended up releasing a whole bunch of commander cards and I'm not covering those ones, so I just figured that one card I would just put into the next batch of cards out the main set that they release, which just so happens to be yesterday, so hence I'm doing the review today. And in the last couple of videos I said that I would add an extra tier to this, but for whatever reason it just won't let me and I'm dumb, so I guess we're just sticking with the 6 we have. Hey, so before we get on with the rest of the video, if you consider liking the video, commenting the video, subscribing if you enjoyed it and hitting the bell icon, and also you could follow us on Facebook and Twitter if you enjoy magic memes, and also follow us on Twitch where you get to watch videos like this happen live. So yeah, let's just get on with it. So moving swiftly on with the list, we have the card from a couple of days ago, and it's Lavabrink Adventurer, and it is a 3 mana white human soldier creature 3/3, and when it enters the battlefield choose odd or even, and it gains protection from the chosen converted mana costs. This card is interesting. I think that it's probably going to be like extremely useful as like a good like rare bomb in draft, but I really don't see this being played in like any kind of standard deck. I just feel that if you're going to go for something like this, you would just play a Haktos deck. Haktos being pretty good. I think he's underrated, but that's just me. Fair enough, it is just the single colour, and it might actually be really useful against like certain decks, so like sideboarding it could be pretty good, but otherwise I remain fairly unconvinced with this card. I think it's cool, but I don't think it's very good. So as underwhelming as I think Lavabrink is, which is another reason why I didn't say anything for that day, because it was kind of like meh, I'm going to stick this firmly in C, and I guess we will wait and see if it does anything. And moving swiftly on to yesterday's spoils, we have In One Bite, and this card is like so close to being like fucking insane, but it is a 1 mana white sorcery. As an additional cost to cast this spell, tap an untapped creature you control, exile target tapped creature, put a 1/1 counter on the creature tapped by this spell. So I mean, 1 mana exile removal is pretty good, to be fair. It's probably really good sideboard tech, I guess, but at that, you know, it's like you have to have a tapped guy, they have to have a tapped guy, which isn't totally unlikely, but it's also sorcery speed, so it's not great either. I think it's a very cool card. It probably has some uses, but I think it's a C. I think this one's a C as well. Like, it's almost obscene, but it's not quite obscene. Maybe it's a B, but at the same time I just think that you would just play a more solid removal option as opposed to something quite as situational. So the next card is Thwart the Enemy, and this card's pretty interesting because on the surface it kind of just looks like Root Snare, but it actually isn't. It's kind of weird because your opponent can attack with all the guys, and then you can play this and then block with all your guys survive, and then they get to deal damage accordingly to your opponent's stuff. I don't see this being played, but this is like probably really good in draft, especially as a common. It's definitely something that you'd have to play around in the IKORIA draft cycle for sure, because it's a common, but it's a really cool card, and it actually could potentially see a bit of play. I'm going to give this one a high C because of like, because it's like an interesting fog effect, but because it's one-sided, it's really something to look out for. So I'm gonna put this in high C. I definitely need to like separate C and high C, but goes in high C. So the next card is Go for Blood, and it's interesting because they're kind of pushing red to have a bit more sort of solid removal that isn't just deal damage with like burn spells. So this one is target creature you control fights target creature you don't control. So again, it's just a worse Stormy's Ambush. But it does have cycling, which is very nice. It's a good card, very good in draft. It could potentially probably be used in some decks. So I'm going to give this one a high C because it's just a usable card. It's also very nice to see a usable card also have a cycling effect. So in that case, you know, it gets bumped up to the high C tier. Right, so the next card is Escape Protocol, that being a 2 mana blue enchantment. and it costs 1 and a blue to cast. This one's really fucking interesting because whenever you whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 1, and when you do, exile target artifact or creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. Now, this is insane because it turns all your cycle cards in hand into essentially like a free blink. So if you've got this established plus like Agent of Treachery, I'll remove your Agent of Treachery. No, I think I'll just blink my Agent of Treachery and then steal another thing. I really don't want to ever have to deal with that scenario, and it really doesn't seem like something that's even slightly difficult to pull off. So, yeah, I'm gonna put Escape Protocol into B because it's like it does need the cycling like to be there, but this works so well in the deck that it's intended to work for. It's kind of scary, to be honest. So yeah, Escape Protocol is getting put into a B. I can really see this card being used. Like in Dimir, like Dimir cycle. I'll play a Burglar Rat, and then I'll just blink it, and then I'll just blink it, and then just blink it. And that's free. So like this one Burglar Rat is getting lots of advantage, and that's just off the top of my head. You know what I'm saying? So I'm putting this in B because I think this card has a lot more potential than meets the eye, especially in Standard specifically. Cunning Nighthonder is the next card, and it's a 2 mana split mana, so blue black, and it's a 2 mana 2/2 human rogue creature with flash, which is nice. So 2 mana flash is on where the money is. Spells you cast with flash cost 1 less to cast and can't be countered. I can certainly see. Oh god, this is like so horrible in Simic Flash, or like the equivalent sort of deck. It just makes the mirror match like beyond complete AIDS. I kind of hate that this card exists, but what it does do, it just does it intensely well, and you can't argue against it. So I'm gonna give Cunning Nighthonder, yeah, it's probably a B. I think it probably is a B. Let's hope that I get to put Nighthonder down to a C. What I might do is before the next set comes out, I might do a review of this tier list and then like see how it ended up being. So here's a really interesting card, and it's Sea Dasher Octopus, and it's a 3 mana 2/2 octopus creature, 1 and 2 blue to cast, and it's a mutate card. It's got flash, so it's a 2 cost. Its mutate cost is only 2, so it has a 2 cost flash mutate, which is crazy good. And whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. So the cool thing about this is you can flash it in during the end phase on something that has mutate, trigger both mutate effects, and then potentially it destroys a guy on their side of the field. Then you get to swing in and draw a card. So it's 2 mana flash mutate, and it allows you to gain back advantage from the, you know, the bad side of the mutate mechanic. However, even aside from that, the card is actually pretty good because it's essentially a 2 mana Curious Obsession as well in Standard. You can just give this onto a guy and then suddenly starts hitting. I can actually just see this being played in Flyers without even any other mutate stuff in the deck. And that seems okay to me personally. I could be wrong, I'm not that great at the game. But you see what I mean? Like, this card actually has like a lot of really good applications, and just having a 2 mana mutate flash to just flash the mutate triggers, that's kind of important, and this card is definitely, almost certainly going to see play because of that. So I'm going to put Sea Dasher Octopus in a solid B. I definitely see this card being played. I don't know why you wouldn't play it in like a mutate deck, especially if you're playing blue. This is like key to that. So yeah, it's a good card. So the next card is another 2 mana mutate, and again, this just seems very, very good, especially in conjunction with the last Octopus guy. I can actually see those two working extremely well. So we have Lord Drakkis, which is a 3 mana 2/3 lizard beast creature, and it is 1, a blue and a red to cast. So its mutate doesn't have flash, but it's another 2 mana mutate that's either, you know, a blue, red, or blue and a red. So that's nice and flexible as it colours, and whenever this creature mutates, return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. So immediately off the bat, you go, you have your Octopus on field, or this on field. You play this on 3. You've countered something earlier in the game. End phase, flash in my Octopus, and I will just add back an Ionize. And then you can just keep doing that shit, and then you get to attack with the guy, and then you get to draw a card. I mean, that's just the most basic application for this, and it isn't even slightly bad. Bear in mind, there's no mana cost restriction. You can just add back whatever the fuck you need. So, yeah, I can see Lord Drakkis being a really solid card. I'm going to put this in B as well, because, again, it just... low-costed. Oh my god, that art is fucking incredible. It's low-costed, and it counteracts the downside from Mutant Mechanic. So, Lord Drakkis is going firmly into B. Another really interesting card in this set is Savai Thunderlion, which is a 2-mana, Boros, 3/2 Elemental Lion. So already it's quite nicely statted. I've noticed that, like, generally the two... there's like a lot of guys that's like 2 mana, and the stats are like really good because it's just 1 and something else. But anyway, whenever you cycle a card, you may pay 2. If you do, Thunderlion deals 2 damage to target creature, you gain 2 life. Now, I really think this card... I wish they just bumped up to a rare and just said you could deal 2 damage to any target. Then this card would be like obscenely good. But because it only hits other creatures, I just see it's super limited. It's like the card is like almost sick. But I just think this goes straight into C because it just can't hit every target. And that really, really bothers me. Another thing as well is this thing only has 2 toughness. So it's in like shock, disfigure range. And I understand that, like, yeah, this is good technically on the surface, but you have to pay the cost to cycle, and then you pay the cost to do the shock thing. You know, later into the game, especially against green, which just pumps out big guys, that isn't really doing much for you. Yeah, it's like, yeah, you can attack and then they block, and you could do it that way, but then that's really, really expensive and inefficient. So I'm going to put this down to a C. I'd kind of like this card to do more. But on the surface for me it just doesn't, it's not as good as I wished it was. And for that, Thunderlion gets to go and see. So I'm going to do the next 3 cards in order. The first one is Forbidden Friendship, and I think this card is kind of cool. I can't tell if this card is like as good as Raise the Alarm. I think it's like 5% worse, but it's create a 1/1 red dinosaur creature token with haste and a 1/1 white human soldier creature token. For 2 mana, that's pretty good. Obviously, with Raise the Alarm, you'd play it in their end phase, so it kind of sort of amounts to them having haste in like a way. So I think this is like slightly worse, but I think being able to spawn a dinosaur and a guy is probably useful in some kind of dino deck. But the thing is that really we're here for the the art is like super touching. The card's like okay. I'm going to put this into like a high C because it's like basically a usable Raise the Alarm, which is a good card. So it gets to go about here or whatever. The next card on the list, which is related to this, is Capture Sphere, which is just one of those like tap effects. It's a 4 mana blue enchantment aura with flash, which is nice, I guess. And it's when Capture Sphere enters the battlefield, tapped enchanted creature. Enchanted creature doesn't untap units. I mean, it's like if there's like a whole million of these effects. A 4 mana flash version of this is like okay. Basically, it's basically okay. It's like, you know, I guess it's like a fine removal option in blue and draft. But again, you know, it just continues the story of this like guy and his like dinosaur friend, and it's kind of so funny and cute because he's like ah. But then the next card is actually pretty good. So we're just going to stick this one and see. It's like it is what it is, right? It's not like an unusable version of it. It's not like any of these, which are just like super underwhelming. But the third one in this set is Cathartic Reunion, and this card is a reprint and it's sick, right? So Standard has a lot of powerful draw power right now, and this is a 2 mana red sorcery. As an additional cost, discard 2 cards, draw 3 cards. That's like super amazing. It's actually exactly what Izzet Phoenix needed. I don't know if it'll make that deck playable, but you know, we have this, we have Thirst for Knowledge, which is like essentially the same thing, or Thirst for Meaning, you know the one that came out in Theros. We also have Thrill of Possibilities, which is another draw card. Standard is full of draw cards, which in my opinion is like a good thing. But I think this card is like definitely totally usable, and I'm glad that it's usable. So I'm going to put Cathartic Reunion into a B. This is just a B tier draw card. The next card on the list is actually, it's really pretty sick, to be honest. I think this card has quite a lot of potential, especially in something like Selesnya Beatdown based around this could be legitimately terrifying. So it's a 4 mana 3/5 cat beast with vigilance, and it's 2 and a green and a white to cast. Creatures you control with vigilance have pay 1 and tap it to tap target creature. Now you need to remember, because of how vigilance works, you attack with your guys, they don't tap. Before they declare blockers, you just tap their entire board and just swing in. That's kinda like this. Just get out the fuck away from me. Everything has vigilance, so if you have a vigilance tribal deck, then this card definitely plays about with that. The thing is, it's definitely a quite build aroundy and a bit gimmicky and probably a bit fragile potentially, but this is really strong. I'm going to stick this in high C and hope that this card does better, essentially. It's definitely a very cool card and definitely has a lot of potential. So now we have Sanctuary Lockdown, which is a 3 mana white enchantment, and it's humans you control get +1/+1. Now the cool thing about that is there's another lord in the set that gives humans +1/+1, and it lets you play pay 2, tap 2 untapped humans, tap target creature and opponent controls. So I don't think this is good enough. A 3 mana lord effect on an enchantment like is alright. I guess you could argue that this is similar to Heraldic Banner in terms of like the same cost. It gives like a kind of lord effect. The thing with Heraldic Banner is that does get a tap for mana. I wouldn't want to play this on turn 3 because it's fairly unimpactful. So I really doubt this card is going to see play. It's extremely good in draft. If you can draft humans, this is like sick. This is a fucking bomb. But ultimately, I don't really see getting played out of that. I'm just going to put this in C. It seems cool on the surface, but it's kind of just whatever. So next card on the list is Exuberant Wolfbear, which is a 4 mana 4/4 Wolfbear creature, and when it attacks, you may choose change the base power and toughness of a target human you control to Exuberance Wolfbear's power and toughness at the end of the turn. So essentially, it lets you attack in with a human, like I was going to say a guy, but literally a guy in this case, and make him a 4/4. I just don't see that being worth it at all. It's pretty underwhelming. See, if this was like 3 mana, I'd be like, okay, that's kind of interesting because it's like super well costed, but like I don't see how a Wolfbear is going to fit into like a human tribal deck just to pump something up on an attack. Seems like a lot of investment for a lot of nothing. So this gets pushed down to pushed down to C tier. This card I feel is actually kind of underwhelming. It is a 4 mana white cat creature 3/5. And it has a 4 mana mutate. It has lifelink, and whenever this creature mutates, create 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. I just extremely do not see this being played. I guess you could, like, in theory, put this on like an Ajani's Pridemate, and then it creates 2 white cat creatures, but that's 4 mana. I mean, I guess that's like okay, but would you play that? I don't know. If you're able to like abuse the mutate, if there's like a 1 mana mutate in white, then yeah, sure, put it in that kind of deck. But ultimately, I just think this is like so completely averagely costed for a fairly average effect on top of that, and I just I'm not buying into it, sorry. So I'm going to put Cubwarden into high C. It's like, it's not the worst mutate effect, and being 4 mana is like okay, but it really seems super underwhelming. I'm kind of surprised this is a rare, to be honest, especially when, again, that Auspicious Starix is like an uncommon. The next card on this list is, it's definitely broken, but I don't know how it's broken, but it just absolutely definitely is. So it is a 3 mana, 2/3 cat nightmare creature, 1 and split white and a black, split white and a black. So it's 3 mana overall cast. And it has a companion effect, so each permanent card in your starting deck has converted mana cost 2 or less, which is extremely limiting. Again, I don't see anybody using this companion cost. Like, even in standard, it doesn't seem worth it at all. However, its effect is absurdly good. During each of your turns, you may cast 1 permanent spell with converted mana cost 2 or less from your graveyard. It doesn't exile, so this just means that you can just keep casting things in your grave once a turn over and over again. Bring back a Pride Mate, bring back a buff, bring like D-Spark, that Orzhov removal thing that exiles a guy, Tyrant Scorn, Thought Erasure. There's so many things that this does abuse, and especially being able to cast like Thought Erasure from your grave for nothing seems a little good, because that's exactly how hand control should be. You don't lose anything and they lose a card, and just under that I feel like this card is probably incredibly good just for that. But then, you know, like if you're trying to use a companion effect, it's dog shit because there's just not enough there to make big pushes and stuff. But ultimately, you don't need to play it with companion. Just fling 3 or 4 of these into a deck, and then you just start gaining fucking advantage. Seems pretty good. Essentially, your grave becomes your hand, and I think, you know, just talking about this card's, you know, I think this card's actually A. I think this card might actually be another A on the list, because this is, your grave just becomes your hand with this card, essentially. And that's way too much value. So what, self-mill deck, mill a bunch of things into my grave, play this, oh, I just get to pick fucking anything. Yeah, seems very good. Tentative Connection is next, and it's kind of weird, like, it's not very good, but it's also kind of good. So, this spell costs 3 less to cast if you control a creature with Menace, gain control of target creature until the end of turn, untap that creature, it gains haste. So, essentially, right, it becomes like a technically much better Claim the Firstborn. Claim the Firstborn is also very, very good, and simply because Claim doesn't have any kind of fucking menace requirement, then Claim's just better. But this is fairly interesting. See if this had Cycle, I would be so into it as a card, but it just doesn't. If you have a deck that plays a whole bunch of Menace guys like Menace Tribal, then yeah, of course this is better. Like by a substantial margin, but no one's playing Menace Tribal. Although, with all the counters and stuff floating about, this could potentially see a lot more play, depending. But at Tentative, it's a C card. Yeah, it's a C, because it's basically just Act of Treason, but a little bit better. Alright, second last card, Blitz of the Thunder-Raptor, and that is a 2 mana red instant, 1 and a red to cast. Blitz of the Thunder-Raptor deals damage to target creature or planeswalker equal to the number of instant sorcery cards in your graveyard. If that creature or planeswalker would die this turn, exile it. It's like theoretically fine, but again, I would just much rather deck stuff that kills a guy and base my deck around that, as opposed to basing my deck around, oh, I'll put all this stuff in my grave and then I can like hit a thing. It just seems, it's a bit like Beacon Bolt, I guess. Although Beacon Bolt, I would say, is better than this just because of the jump start. You're getting way more value out of it. I think the card's like okay, but I would never play it. Even in draft, I think it's quite bad actually. So I'm actually gonna. I really think this card is just like D. Honestly, it just doesn't. It's so slow and. Ugh. Finally for today, we've got Patagia Tiger, which is a 5 mana cat creature, 3/4 with flying. That's okay, I guess. And when it enters battlefield, target human control gets +2/+2 till the end of the turn. This is just draft chaff. It's a shame to end the video on this one, but yeah, this is just like, it's fine in draft. Like every card is just like fine in draft, but this is just kind of whatever. It's a D. Yeah, it's a D. I mean, it's fly. It's D. The card's a D. D for dud. I ain't playing it, and like, yeah, flyers are good in draft, don't get me wrong, but this effect is just super underwhelming. End of turn. See if it was like just give a human like 2 humans +1/+1, it'd be like, oh, not bad. But till end of turn can just, I don't give a shit about till end of turn effects. We ain't about till end of turn effects. So again, this is looking pretty good. No more S tier cards. I'm very inclined to make this an S tier card. I'll maybe mull on this. This might go to S tier. Guess we'll see. See what happens in the future anyway. But this is the list so far. Again, you know, just kind of skimming over it from what I remember a card's doing. It seems pretty good. That all the things in C should be in C. They're just a bit below average. All the things in B, a little bit above average. And then obviously A and S being some pretty fucking good shit right there. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to playing these cards, and that brings us to the end of the video. If you enjoyed today's video, then, you know, like and comment and share and all that shit. Especially comment, like, by all means. Like, I like to have a good conversation with people, and I will reply, so if that's something you give a shit about, then by all means. But again, hopefully you've been enjoying this series. I've been enjoying doing it, honestly. Hopefully this can just take off for the next sets and stuff. But anyway, I will leave it there, and I'll catch you tomorrow, because there is spoilers today. So, see you then. Hey, so thanks for watching this video to the end. And again, if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing and hitting the bell icon if you enjoyed it. And also, if you really enjoyed it, go follow us on Facebook and Twitter if you like magic memes, and go follow us on Twitch as well, where you get to watch videos like this happen live. And obviously, that means you get to interact with us as well, and we're pretty cool. You'll like us. Anyway. Just thanks a lot, and we'll see you in the next video.